Welcome to Dropout 22, a GD Media production, bringing you the latest news and the best views from this year's Rugby World Cup. The semi-finals here, ladies and gents. Welcome aboard! That's right, the semi-finals here, and there is not a single Northern Hemisphere team among them. Joining me in the studio tonight, we've got Sam Whiting and Martin McDonald. Joining me on the phone is Guy Griffiths, and joining me on the phone from about 300 yards away is Patrick Andrews, and we'll discuss why it is all south in the semi-finals. Gentlemen, welcome to Dropout 22. Let's start with that game. Australia against Scotland. Mac, are you still talking to Pat? What's the situation?
Well, I got a message off him on when he came back from Australia saying that he thought Australia thoroughly deserved to win, and but Scotland played well against Australia's mistakes, but. I disagree with that, to be honest. And Scotland were leading to the last minute of the game, where they were cruelly lost it thanks to Joubert. But if they won that line out, they would have won the game. But what a game!
We'll get on to Joubert in a minute. Now, I don't know how Patty managed to forge such a strong opinion, given the fact that he was on a plane at the time, part-time Australian fan that he was. You must have caught the highlights, did you, Patty?
Made sure to record it. Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for bringing that up. Cheers.
Yeah, what do you make of it then?
Well, like I said to Mac, I think we thoroughly deserve to win. The Scots were brave, to sound more of a cliche. They played well. They were very disruptive at the breakdown, which is what you need to be against us. They certainly starved us of the ball, which was, unfortunate for us. Really saw that we missed Dave Pocock. We missed someone getting those turnovers and disrupting their play. I think Michael Hooper went a bit missing in terms of breakdown work. But I think Mac just said they were leading until the last minute. You were leading for 4 minutes off an intercept try from a prop. So don't act like you were winning the whole game and then got pinched at the end. Also, we can talk all day about Craig Joubert, and I'm sure we will later on. But it should never have been in that position. We were by far the superior side. 5 tries says it all.
But if you were the superior side, why didn't you stuff us by 50 points?
Whether you win by a metre or a mile, winning's winning, mate. Close out the game. That's what champions do.
Thanks, Vin Diesel.
I do live life 1/4 mile at a time.
Winning's winning. Sammy, you were a neutral. What do you make of it? Were they worth their win?
I think it was a great game of rugby to watch. Australia, I think, were worth their win, really. I mean, 12 points came from a charge down, intercept try in the last kind of 10 minutes or so. But I think for 70-odd minutes of that game, Australia were on top. I don't think they ever got out of kind of third gear. But however, credit to the Scottish, really. I think they put them under pressure. They didn't give them their own way. I thought they kind of made a hassle at the breakdown. I think the missing of Pocock really showed. I think hopefully, as long as he's fit against the Argentinians and stuff, I think that'll be the big boost the Australians need. But again, another cracking game of rugby to round off the weekend.
It's quite funny that no one has actually mentioned Folau. Like Beale played exceptionally well in this place. Do you think Folau would have made a difference, Pat?
I don't think we were in a position where Folau could have made too much of a difference, to be honest. All our finishers finished when they needed to. Drew Mitchell finished well, Adam Ashley Cooper finished well, and like you said, I think KB was clearly the man of the match. He was fantastic. You guys really tested him under the high ball, and he answered every question with aplomb.
When he played against Wales, Curtly Beale came on early doors for Horn, and I thought he was absolutely outstanding there. If anything, you've looked a better team with Curtly Beale in the side than you have done with Folau in the side. If they're both fit for the semi, who'd you pick?
I pick Izzy for sure. I think yeah, you're spot on. Curtly Beale made a huge difference against Wales, but I certainly think Israel Folau has that ability to make something from nothing. He's just such a hard guy to tackle as well. And KB's great feet, and he'll find holes and he'll get the offloads. But Izzy does all of that and more. And I think you have to give it back to Izzy. But I think what Checker's been doing really well, which is what I think that's really helped our team, is that he's been using the subs. He's not been waiting for the last 5 minutes. He's literally seeing a position or opportunity where someone could make a difference, and he's making that call. And I wouldn't be surprised if KB's on the bench, but you certainly see him play at least 20 minutes at some point.
He's actually the couple of press conferences that I've been in with Checker after a game, he actually
all right, name dropper.
He actually doesn't refer to them as subs. He calls them finishers, and I suppose that's how he looks at it. He doesn't see them as a sort of replacements to bring on. He just sees him as an extension of the squad, and that, I suppose, that marries into what he's been trying to, and what we talked about last week, what he's been trying to drill home in that sort of that pride in the Wallaby jersey and all the rest of it.
Certainly, and I guess it really highlights the success that he's brought to the team since he came over, took over just gone a year ago, and the change in dynamic, the change in mentality, and you hear a lot in the media, the Aussie team talking about wanting to improve. Where can we improve on next week? Where can we do better? And I think that stems a lot from Michael Checker and his mentality within the team. Certainly a very strong bond there between all of them.
And Mackie, obviously, a lot of disappointment in being knocked out, but along with Wales, I think that the Scots surely can hold their heads up high after a decent campaign, I guess.
I think so, yeah. I mean, Scotland's main objective was to get to the quarterfinals. They did that. Everyone thought that Australia were going to give them an absolute beasting. But to be honest, like Sam said, Australia were on top for a lot of the game, but Scotland, the reason why Australia made those mistakes was Scotland put them under pressure, and the way they played the game, they tried to play with the ball in hand against Australia and against the Southern Hemisphere team. I think that's what you've got to do. So yeah, I mean, Scotland and Wales both came out of both games with credibility. I think if Wales had the full squad, they would have potentially beat South Africa. And I think Scotland were, like I said, a minute away from beating Australia. So everyone's downing in all of the hemisphere, but I think that there is some credibility to come out of the quarters.
Yeah, well said, Mac. I agree with what you just said there as well.
Now, proving how ahead of the ball we are on Dropout 22, Guy Griffiths called it last week that Craig Joubert is absolutely useless, and he goes and has an absolute stinker. Guy, you got your predictions absolutely miles wrong, but you were spot on with Joubert.
I think it's the only thing I got right last week, to be honest, guys, because Joubert, to be honest, it's not really hard to call. After the hash he made of handing the All Blacks their second World Cup 4 years ago, I'm surprised he's still in a job. But basically, everything that we talked about last week sort of came true. And a prediction is where you take a guess at something. This has been set in stone for years that Joubert would have an absolute stinker when the pressure is on. It's surprising that how every time this happens, it just seems to be brushed away, and it's finally caught up with him. I feel sorry for the bloke that he's been made like the one and only reason why Scotland lost, because listening to the boys just then, it's quite clear that he's not the only reason they lost. The Aussies were value for their win. At the end of the day, when you make a couple of calls like he did, number one at the end, but people are forgetting he sent Sean Maitland off for essentially standing there with his arm out because he had the ball passed into him. So even the TMO didn't want to yellow card him, and Joubert did what he wanted to do again. Crumbled under pressure and basically handed them the advantage when they really need it. Because the Aussies, as we all know, when there's people there for a kill, they take their chances. You literally have to kill the Aussies to beat them. So even the slightest bit of advantage given by Joubert was taken, and honestly, I can't believe he was allowed to have the job in the first place. Because when it's that obvious to just a normal bloke like myself, how aren't the powers that be sorting this out? The fact they've come out and actually remedied something from the and said about it from the sheer weight of opinion because of it is surprising. That has surprised me because basically, if without refs you haven't got a game, and if the refs are going to be have to answer for their calls after every match, then it sets a dangerous precedent. But at the same time, I think it's got to the point where the sheer weight of opinion on him and the amount of bad games he's had has caught up with him.
And it wasn't just that last decision. Obviously, there was a knock-on that he missed from Curtly Beale before the first try of the game, the Adam Ashley Cooper try, and there was, there's a handful of other stuff that he missed that a good referee would have seen. I mean, Sammy, what was your take on that crucial? Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty at the end?
I think the whole thing about not being able to go upstairs for the TMO in a crucial situation like that, it's got to be something that World Rugby's got to look at, really. You can see that a decision like that is going to turn a quarter-final one way or another, and in a big match like that, that's something that a referee, he's only human and stuff, but something that's got to be looked at, really, because it can make it swing.
What they should have is a captain's challenge. That each captain gets one challenge or maybe two in a game, and he can challenge a decision if he wants to do it. So no matter what decision it is, he can just challenge it. And once he's used it up, he's used it up.
Or what we should do is all play NFL, where we stop every 30 seconds and review everything with the TV. What are you both talking about? It's in the laws of the game that the TMO can only be referred to
we know
in a case of a foul play or a case of a try.
If you're trying to stop these sort of things happening in the future...
I'm talking, Mac. Sorry, thanks for that. It's a split-second decision in a high-pressure game, but of course. But you need to have that human error. You need to have the element of the referee, because then what's the point? You can have a TV, a third match official judging the whole thing from afar, and it's pointless. They're an integral part of the game. Yeah, he made lots of mistakes. He had a horrendous game in terms of refereeing performance, and I guess that final decision typified that. But I don't think more TV involvement is called for. If you remember the first game of the World Cup, England Fiji, that was ruined by the overuse of the third match official. It was ruined the spectacle. It ruined the flow of the game, and it ruined Fiji's chances, I think. So it's just you're treading dangerous water there.
I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'm actually going to side with Pat on this one. I think
I am too. I am too, guys. I agree with that. I agree with Pat. I think the main issue isn't the fact that you can't go to the TMO. I think it's that everyone's going to get something wrong. It's the time that Juba got it wrong was basically at the most crucial time for Scotland. But as Pat said as well, and he alluded to, he did have a stinker from minute 1 to minute 80. So we shouldn't be concentrating on that one. The last couple of minutes before the end, we should be concentrating on the entire game. I think the main problem at the moment, and the entire reason we're talking about TMOs and talking about refs, is the fact that, number one, these refs have got to such a stage where they're not really backing the convictions. And Juba showed that by the fact he run off. He couldn't even face up to his actual decision. And then just the quality of the actual refereeing. We watch the Pro 12 regularly, guys, because obviously it's our home tournament for some of the teams we support. And the standard of refereeing in the Pro 12, bar obviously Nigel Owens, who's the sole international ref of any note in it, is absolutely abysmal. You get people paying to watch rugby, and it's quite regular that people from the outside complain about the quality of the Pro 12 and the rugby that's being played. And all you have to do is watch it for 5 minutes and just concentrate on what the referee's blowing for and how the flow of the game is just completely disrupted by a referee with no feel for the actual sport of rugby. Then you quite quickly realise that is probably a bigger issue than the actual players who are playing.
Let's leave referees for now then, because they are not rugby. I know we like to talk about them, but just the one last point. Obviously, Garces and Wayne Barnes both confirmed as semi-final referees. I think they've both been outstanding this tournament, which paves the way then for Nigel Owens to take over the final. So we are exactly where we were last week. We're all in agreement that Nigel Owens should be in the final, and we're all in agreement that Craig Joubert is absolutely useless. So talking of a South African guy, more misery we're out, we're done. But a strange sense of pride I had when that final whistle went. I thought, given the circumstances we've been in with the injuries and the adversity that we've faced, I think it's not been a bad campaign at all.
Not at all, guys. I agree. I think we did everything we possibly could. It would have been nice to score a few more tries, but I think we picked horses for courses in the sense that we picked a team that could play within its limitations. We'd obviously like to chuck the ball around a bit more and score a few more tries, but I don't think we had it in us at the end. We were down, in essence, to it's not necessarily the sixth choice pairing, because Jamie Roberts has been a constant in the actual midfield. But it's the sixth choice outside centre probably we got down to, and any team, even the New Zealanders, I doubt very much their talent pool goes that deep in a single position. As you said, guys, quite proud of the boys. I thought we did quite well. I thought our defence, and as everyone sees week in, week out, our defence was absolutely outstanding. I'd like to see a correlation graph to see how many injuries other teams pick up, considering how much ball possession they have, because we seem to have a hell of a lot, and we seem to defend a lot as well, which might be something to for Warren to actually have a look at. But at the same time, I don't think we could have done much more. I think the South Africans came at us so hard and pretty much beat us up. In essence, we beat them up, they beat us up. And if we've got Schalkberg, so-called one of the toughest men in rugby, coming out and saying that's the most physical game he's ever played in, I think the boys can be quite proud of themselves.
So you mentioned Gatlin there. He's been told by the WRU that he has control essentially of his coaching staff. Can you see that coaching team staying together now for the Six Nations, or is there going to be a bit of a shake-up?
I don't think there has to be any sort of change in the coaching team at all. I think keeping that team together, they seem happy with each other. The coaches and the players seem to get on. Obviously, the issue of not scoring tries is a big one. Rob Howley is the attack coach at the end of the day, and there's not much attack coming from the backs. I don't see where else we could go with it. I think Gatlin has put this coaching team singing off the same hymn sheet as such. So I think whilst Howley probably has a bit of input in the picking of the backs and the way they play slightly, we're all playing as a 15. So I don't think a shake-up there would do much difference. So I think they're all going to stick together, and I think it's all on Mr. Gatlin's shoulders to actually shake it up and score a few more tries, because it's quite obvious if we and this is the actual point of the game of rugby. Obviously, if you score more points than the opposition, you win the game. But it's more points for a try than it is for a penalty. So I think if we actually get over the line a bit more, I don't think there will be a need to defend so hard. We can pick slightly more attacking players, slightly better creative players, rather than the actual crashes we've actually got. So it's a big positive. The World Cup was a positive for us, considering we went out in the quarterfinals. I would like to have gone further, but keep the coaching staff together, keep the players together, find a few talented youngsters with a bit of running ability, and let's start putting the ball in their hands, to be honest. So that's the next steps forward.
Running ability is nothing short of what the Southern Hemisphere sides have got. There's a big talk of this north-south divide. The top 4 teams in the world at the moment play in the Rugby Championship, and all 4 of them are in the semi-finals. Sammy, how big is the north-south divide?
I think you can see that on a rugby pitch, really. The natural skills, especially guys with jerseys numbers 1 to 5. I mean, that was shown in the New Zealand game, really. I think it was Joe Moody and Charlie Famuina and stuff chucking offloads that if you were a 12 or a 13 you'd be delighted with. And I think if you took kind of any of the teams in the Northern Hemisphere and you asked numbers 1 to 5 to chuck them, I'd say probably 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times they would miss. And I think it all focuses on when you're growing up. I mean, I think when you're growing up in New Zealand or Australia, the kids are focused on their skills. It's being able to pass off your left hand, off your right hand, and you've done that whether you've got jersey number 1 to 15. Whereas I think guys in the Northern Hemisphere, it's get in the gym, get as big as you can. Everything's about power, and get over the game line. And these days, I think defences are too good that you can't just run over sides. You've got to be able to create, you've got to be able to hit holes, and you've got to find loose shoulder sleeve offloads. And it shouldn't matter what number you've got on the back of your shirt. If you've got a player in support to put in for a 7-pointer, you've got to be able to give it at the top of the game.
What's the biggest difference, Matt?
It's just the speed, the way they play the game. I'm not all for this North v South. I think the Southern Hemisphere teams. I said this to Sam the other day that they've just come off the back of their own tournament. You know, it's a hard tournament. You know, they both would have.
Turn it up, Mac. Jesus.
I think all four of them would have, they've played in these really tough test matches, whilst all the Northern Hemisphere teams have played in these warm-up matches, which aren't really the same billing, to be honest. And then to be honest, if you look at Argentina and New Zealand, they've both had relatively easy ways through the group. You know, so much. I mean, Australia showed. I think they were quite tired when they played in the quarterfinals. Maybe the same with South Africa as well, but. I don't think there's as much as a gap as everyone says there is. Bar a few decisions, we could be talking about Wales and Scotland being in the semi-finals, and then there would be this conversation wouldn't be happening.
Go on in, Aussie mouth. What's happening?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, actually, Mac closed very well. Then I agree. Bar a few decisions, it could be 50-50, and I suppose there's not as much of a divide as people say, but I do like the way Sam Whiting was quoting me just now. That's pretty spot on in the way I think and the way I've seen it as well. Say again?
Quoting you, was that? What was this?
Yeah, pretty much. You've heard me say that many times.
What article have you written that I'm getting you from?
You've written that down somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, I agree that I don't think there is as much of a divide, but it's pretty clear, and it's not a new debate. There's a different style of rugby played in the Northern Hemisphere as opposed to the Southern Hemisphere, and you know the Southern Hemisphere style is arguably more attractive, more enjoyable, and I think. As the professionalism of rugby develops over the years, it becomes more and more a factor of like you said, Sam. Defences are good. Everyone's big these days. Everyone's the size of each other. So it has to be the way you can develop and create from nothing to really shine.
Now, Warren Gatland alluded to the weather. Obviously, having to play in the weather's just turned now, so playing in December, January. When the weather's horrible, the ground's soft, and building that up through the ages and through the pro game. It's been alluded to that the pitches obviously are harder, just the natural way the game is played, and the competitions, Super Rugby seen as a better breeding ground than your Pro 12s, than your Premierships, etc. You got Peter Thomas coming out today saying that there needs to be a Super 15 introduced in the Northern Hemisphere, with Wales, for example, having 2 super regions above the Blues, Ospreys, Scarlets and Dragons. I mean, is it as simple as that, Guy, or is it more deep-rooted?
It's never as simple as that. There's too many big dogs or too many big egos involved to get that up and running that quickly. You saw European rugby nearly fell in its ass because everyone wanted a piece of it and everyone wanted to chuck their 2 pence in. How long do you think this is going to take to set up? It would be great. It'd be nice. I think people in Wales would have a field day with the demands of the regions, etc., etc. But at the same time, it would be nice to have 2 squads of our boys, so East and West, have about 40 in each, have a solid pool of 80 odd players with at least 15 in each solid youngsters coming through. I think we can only improve, and we would also attract the boys back from England or France. I can't see it ever happening in England, ever. I can't see anything along the lines of any districts or regions or super clubs ever going forward. There's just too much money there, and there's too many egos to be massaged. France, maybe they might see a sea change when they get a change in their management. I don't think it's the actual problem with the owners in France. I think it's the actual governing body, as has been reported there. They basically were around in the 1980s and are still there. So you can see why that's a problem. It'd be nice. I'm sure it'd be nice to watch. I see East Wales go on and take on someone like Paris, or score and take on London. That'd be great. But at the same time, don't hold your breath. I can't see it happening anytime soon.
No, I don't think there's much wrong with the Premiership game, to be honest. Obviously, at the international level, the review was just kicked off. Sammy, last week we banned the E word, but this week we can talk about it. What do you want to see come out of the England review?
The England review, I think it's got to start from the top as well. I mean, Ben Kay's gone in there. I think he's the kind of person that he's going to ruffle some feathers. If he doesn't see something going right, he's going to go in there and say, "No, boys, I don't think this is right. Let's do this." What I think is going to be tough for him, though, is that he's got to criticise Graham Rowntree, a guy that he's played club rugby with before, a guy that he's probably looked up to and has probably been a leader in his change room. So I think that's going to be tough for him. I still think there's guys in there. I mean, there's this guy from the FA, another Ian, who has got. I don't understand how he's got anything to offer in terms of looking for one who's going to be the next kind of England rugby coach. Really, I mean, he might throw his 2 pence in terms of a kind of football aspect and stuff. At the end of the day, I think Lancaster's going to either walk or he's going to go, and I can see England, as we're allowed to say it this week, kind of go for a Southern Hemisphere coach. Really, I think that's got to be the route after 3 kind of mishaps with English guys that have not had the experience at international rugby.
I can't see him walking away, only because he's contracted until 2019, I think it is.
I think it's 2020 up until the Japan World Cup.
That's a big old pay packet to walk away from.
It's a big pay packet.
I think he'll be sacked before he walks away from anything.
I think the RFU have the money for it. I think Lancaster's a guy for morals. I think if he doesn't think stuff is going well, I think he holds his head too high to not kind of. If a lot of people are sitting behind him and thinking he shouldn't be in the job, I think he's the kind of person that would walk away from that.
What bemuses me is the fact that the RFU have set targets before the World Cup. I think he had to win a Grand Slam. I think that was one of his targets, and then but they've not won a Grand. They've not even won a Six Nations. They come second in every one. So why didn't they have this 2 years ago when they said, right, we're 2 years out from the World Cup, we've got to make a decision here? Australia have done all right. They sacked. I think they've been through 2 coaches since the last World Cup. So why didn't they do this 2 years ago?
You mentioned that though, but Scotland have set their targets, haven't they? So you're going to have to win the World Cup in Japan now to reach those targets, and you need to win a Grand Slam in between now, or is it 2 Grand Slams?
That's the code.
Right.
Here's a point for you though. With this English review, so Clive Woodward's the only English coach to actually have won a World Cup. Why isn't he involved in the review? Why isn't his opinion? I mean, have they asked him? Did he turn them down, or what's the go there? Because that just makes sense to me, to be honest.
Do you watch the 2005 Lions?
Yeah, well, you can't have ups without downs. You can't win forever.
That was 12 years. That was 12 years ago as well, Pat. A lot of stuff's changed since then.
Principles of it though. I mean, look at Michael Checker. Yeah, he's coming from a playing and coaching background, but arguably his best success has been in business with a fashion company. So if the principles of success are the same, then why not be involved in some way?
Probably because his name's not Ian, but we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that further as it comes, as more light gets shed on it. Now, Patty, you're back in England now. You are. When did you get back?
Monday, Arvo.
Monday, and it's now Wednesday night, and you're saying you can't travel 200 yards up the road. You have to be on the phone because you're what?
Just a bit of jet lag,
Bit of jet lag, okay. You were a bit tired last week, weren't you, Butte?
It was early doors. I was a bit jet lagged last week as well, to be fair.
Right, let's just listen back to last week's show and a couple of Pat Andrews' top moments.
So I thought it was very consistent from the referee, and I think it's just going to show that Rugby World Cup is coming.
You were really struggling, weren't you?
A couple of big yawns as well, wasn't it?
Struggling to the extent that, right, what position do you play?
I'm a hooker.
You're a hooker, so, a proper front rower. Who is the Aussie coach that they've brought in to shore up the scrum?
He's an Argentinian coach.
Yeah, what's his?
Ledesma.
Is it Matt?
Yeah, Matt Ledesma.
His name's Mario.
Oh, Mario.
Here we are.
I told you I'm tired.
Other coaches that he's brought in, Matt Ledesma, who's taken over for...
Big Argentinian Matty over there. We had
Mario is Argentinian for Matt.
Is that so? Pat, there's 3 positions I understand in the front row. Sammy, do you know what the 3 positions are?
3 positions. It could be tight head prop, it could be a hooker, it could be a loose head prop, I believe.
Is there such thing as a right head prop?
A right head prop. That is a bit different to me.
Well, according to Patty Andrews, that there is.
Therefore, yes, it is Patricio Noriega at right head and Kevin Mealamu at hooker. So
There it is, Patricio Noriega on the right head. And,
I think that makes sense because the tight head is on the right, so it just makes sense.
well, if that's your defence, that's fair enough. And it's absolutely impossible to ignore this one. So we all went through our tight heads of the professional era. Patrick Andrews came out with this.
Googled prop positions and I'm a little embarrassed as front rower. Osteron was a loose head and he's a loose head prop.
So we'll give you a chance to make up for it this week, Patty. We'll start with you again. Give us your best locks of the professional era.
Okay, thanks, mate. Cheers. Best locks of the professional era, without doubt, the man, the myth, the legend that is John Eales, as well as the man made of concrete and iron, Brad Thorne.
Guy Griff?
Is he going to justify that, or is he just going to call him a myth?
You're just going to call him.
Right, fair enough.
There needs to be no justification. What are you talking about? John Eales,
Right.
superstar, hero, leader of men, and Brad Thorne is essentially what they made the Terminator from. So he is all that is man.
He's no Petro Civoniceva, though. Petro Civoniceva is made out of a tree.
Petrol 70 cents a litre.
Guy Griffiths, locks, forwards, best professional era.
I'll take that back. That was a good justification. Victor Matfield will be in the best in the world for a good 5 years without anyone even coming close. And I'm going to stick to my last roots and say Alan Wynne-Jones because we've never had anyone like him. And basically the performance he put in against Australia last couple of years ago in the Lions, when he was the best in the world for a good 12 months, just puts him up there for me.
Sammy?
I agree with Pat on Brad Thorne. I think a guy who has achieved so much in both codes of the game. A guy who's an enforcer. I think he's a terrific player. But my other one, I'm going to go with Martin Johnson, the only Northern Hemisphere captain to ever win the World Cup. A guy that I think most players would follow into battle, really. And I think, to be honest, he's the only guy that can captain this World 15. So for me, Martin Johnson.
Now, Mackie, unfortunately, has left the studio because he's off on a hot date. So we wish him all the very best with that. So seeing as Scotland are out, what we'll do is we'll crack on with our predictions. Patty, you're the only one with the team left, so let's go for you first.
I think Australia are going to win by 15 or 16 points. We're looking forward to playing a team that isn't from the Northern Hemisphere, that isn't a home nation. So that should be good for us. And I think that South Africa will win by 10 or 12 points.
Guy?
I think if Pocock plays, the Aussies win. If he doesn't play, the Argentinians are into their first final. And I concur with what Pat said. I think the All Blacks have played against just paper bags so far. The French didn't want to be there. The only test they really had was the RGs, and they weren't really up to speed yet. I think they're going to have a big shock on Saturday. And whilst you can quite comfortably see the New Zealanders winning because they are the best team in the world, watch out for those South Africans. Even though they may prove Lawrence Delario right after we absolutely tore them to shreds at the start.
Sammy?
I think the South Africans showed absolutely no threat at all against the Welsh. I think if New Zealand get to anywhere near how they did against the French, I think they'll run through the South Africans really. So I'm going to go New Zealand by 12 points. I think the RGs will shock the Aussies, to be honest. I think that back three were superb, and I know the Irish had a lot of injuries and stuff, but I truly believe that the RGs are going to be in their first final. So I'm going to go for the RG by 3.
Good stuff. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me. You at home, thanks for listening. This has been Dropout 22, a GD Media production.